the Varus now open available. But I think for RA, you know, clearly Viego was a problem last game. I think the reason they want blue side in this situation, the reason that they don't ban away is because they are looking to prioritize it.
So Viego locked in here for RA. Very strong as a first pick, but it does mean Gwen is available. Now, we've seen plenty of Gwen from Xiaohu. He only has a 50% win rate with it, but let's be honest, they had a pretty rough start to the split, so I think that the win-loss ratios of some of these champions are a bit skewed. As RNG gonna first pick a Volibear here. That was not the pick I was expecting them to prioritize, to be quite honest.
So I think with the jungle pool thinned a fair bit, Volibear sort of rises in priority. Really strong in those skirmishes, good at setting up plays, and here's one for you as well, Munch. Pretty good at dives, you know. So I think if I was Cube, I'd be a little bit concerned about that pick. We do also see the Varus come in, and Kalista is something we've seen very frequently picked up into the Varus. It's something that can not only match his lane pressure, but actually kind of outclass him in that bot lane 2v2. We'll see what they want to pair up with that. Thresh is something that's still open and available, but typically we don't see as much Thresh Kalista as we used to. But it would be a nice denial away from RNG in this situation.
Could be a good option for them, perhaps an aggressive support to come on in. Leona going to be hovered, potentially locked in here. Now for RNG, they could go for a support themselves or lock in one of these solo laners. And I feel like perhaps getting something strong for Xiaohu, maybe something like Gwen, for example, could be a good option here before a lot more bans come on through, because we can all feel it that RA would more than happily ban a couple of those top laners, but it's going to be the Braum locked in. So RA do get the opportunity to pinch those pools.
Yeah, I think in my opinion, Thresh, Braum are the big two that I think can handle this bot lane okay, sort of have good matchups in the Leona. And I think if you didn't pick one now, both would be banned away. So as much as it's unfortunate to sort of not have as much priority for Xiaohu, I think it was the right decision. That being said, you could still in theory see the Volibear top. Don't really expect it, but that is something that is potentially possible. But for now, RNG going to ban away some of the prior mids that FoFo can take, limiting his Zoe. And RA, if there's any blind picks you could potentially be worried at mid, you could thin them out. Maybe the TF gets taken away here, but realistically, I think banning away Xiaohu is probably what they're going to look to do, as he's likely going to be the one who gets that counter pick, or at least gets a strong prior for himself.
So FoFo gets his Zoe banned away, which is not something that's too surprising. While Zoe bans are not that common right now, Zoe bans against FoFo, very, very common right now. That's not a pick that you want to let go through. Could you see another mid lane ban, perhaps something like the Syndra? It's the LeBlanc taken off the board, away from FoFo. It is his most played of the split.
Yeah, and obviously huge amount of carry potential on that pick. I think as well, if you're looking to blind something, we often see LeBlanc answered by things like Lissandra. The thought process for me, if they are banning this LeBlanc, if they are banning the Zoe, we're probably going to see a mid pick come in first for RNG, and they want to make things comfortable. RA though, they will target that Gwen you were talking about, shutting down the carry potential from Xiaohu a little bit, and I expect just sort of a mid to come in here for Cryin. It could be that Twisted Fate, it could go in a fair bit of a direction here. Depends really what the team's looking to go for, but likely just a safe line in this situation.
Well, we've seen the Twisted Fate plenty of times before from Cryin. It's worked in the past, and it means that they can set up with a counter pick for Xiaohu. Over to the side of RA, things like the Akali still available, which is a 100% win rate right now for FoFo, but he's also 100% on that Viego. We could see the Viego in the mid lane yet.
Yeah, I think just the nerfs to Viego's lanes have stayed, and then the nerfs to Akali as well, kind of, you know, they're still playable, but I think in this situation, honestly, the hovering at the Sylas makes a lot of sense. You can steal away that ult from Cryin, and there's more of a carry potential than we saw last game, right? The Galio, as much as it made sense in terms of matching the pressure, it wasn't the sort of pick that we expect to see from FoFo in terms of taking over the game and making that impact. And honestly, you know, I complained about the Nocturne last game. It's a much better composition for it, right? You have dive buddies, you have a team who wants to go into you, and when you look at the composition of RNG, we've gone from things like Ezreal, Rakan, high mobility champions, Lee Sin as well, to, you know, Varus. No mobility on his own. TF is still there, but obviously it just means that this dive is going to be more effective, so I think RA have done quite a bit better in this draft. We'll see what RNG want to round up with. I was just talking about how it got nerfed, but they may actually go for the Akali.
That would be top lane Akali as well for Xiaohu locked in here. Definitely a different tack to what we're used to. Quite often we're seeing Xiaohu playing these kind of bruisers and mostly AD champions, aside from the Gwen, obviously. But Gwen kind of, I would argue, fitting into the bruiser category in some ways. She's kind of a pseudo bruiser. Akali, very different style here. But I mean, look, Xiaohu was a mid laner for many years. I don't underestimate his ability to play Akali and his mechanics on that pick. So you can expect he'll still take over. But he's going to be up against Cube on that Viego. So perhaps Season 11 will prove to be too much for him.
I think the Akali can sort of do okay in that matchup, though. Early, you should expect, obviously, Xiaohu can just sort of trade heavily into the Akali and push her off. But once you have that Shroud available, the Akali can kind of just chilling it, avoid all the autos from Xiaohu and harass him. So it gets a bit more comfortable at level 3. And then obviously at 6, you have that kill pressure. But yeah, I mean, I think the adaptations from RA really solid here. I feel a lot more comfortable at the composition here. They have a lot of dive threats to deal with the potential backline, well, the backline from RNG. RNG, though, it's kind of functions a bit similarly, the spot side. They don't have the same reset potential with the Viego, but it's very much single target shutdown, right? You have a Braum, you have a Varus, you have a TF. They will pick a target, they'll kill a target, they'll move to the next one, and I think it's a similar way their fights will function in that regard.
See if they're going to be able to pull these fights off as we head towards game number 2 here, and it feels like the pressure is mounting for RA. Remember, RA, even though they have 9 wins in the standings already, worst case scenario, it's still possible for them not to make it to playoffs. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but every single win matters here. And it's also possible for them to get first place if they could win every single series remaining for themselves. And obviously they need teams like EDG to lose a series or 2. But a win here against RNG would be the first step in the right direction for RA, a team that has consistently been underestimated, a team that has been consistently kind of looked down on by a lot of the other teams, by a lot of analysts. I feel like a lot of people think of RA as almost a gatekeeper for the top 4, right? They're never quite going to be the top team, but they're the team that's going to lose to the very top teams, but beat everyone else.
And I think based on their recent form, RNG are looking like one of those top contenders for the title in summer. So RA being able to challenge them, or even better, take them down, it's not just the implications on the standings, but also that confidence boost and that sort of momentum going into playoffs.
So, RA starting things off on the bottom side. Leyan going to go for his red buff. He is on a ward, though, so this will be spotted out. Wei has full information, and there is no ward over towards him. As Gala and Ming move in towards that bottom side, and Wei will be able to go away with his Grump here. Xiaohu knocked out of the lane, though, by Cube. Nice aggressive start here from the RA top laner.
Yeah, just completely zoning him out. And this is kind of the issue with this matchup between the Akali and the Viego is once Akali's level 3, you can do a bit more.
All in onto Gala. There's an Ignite burning away. iBoy can't close the gap, though. Just going to get a little bit more damage onto Ming, but that is both of them on 100 HP in the bottom side. Great 2v2 from Hung and iBoy.
And this is the power of this Kalista at level 1. It's so threatening. Leona as well. You can sort of apply that pressure early. What was I saying that?
My goodness. Xiaohu getting absolutely bodied in the top side. We talked about how this is a team with really strong laning phases. If they could just extend these laning phases, it's going to look amazing for RA.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he's just consistently trading onto him. And Xiaohu, until you're level 3, you really can't do anything. And if you're getting set this far back this early on, you're never really going to find a route in. Critically as well, Leyan pathing up towards top side. So it's not like Wei can just fix this by ganking, because if he tries it and Leyan's also there, they will lose that play. We do see Cryin throwing a ward down. They'll give a bit of information if we see Leyan trying anything too fancy. But I think in this position, all he needs to do is just take the scuttle, and he has that support from the top side. You can see actually Wei already moving down towards bot because he knows he's not going to be able to contest that top scuttle.
Wei moving to that bottom side, as you say, grabs the scuttle for himself. Hung has not been spotted just yet. The side of RA, or the side of RNG, sorry, don't know that he's here. Here's a gold card in the mid lane. FoFo will get the knock-up. Hung flashes forward, and Cryin is eradicated. Beautiful play set up by RA.
Yeah, really like it. And as well, you feel so safe in that situation. You have a ward on the top side, you have your jungle on the bot side. It's like this scenario where any mid laner feels comfortable to sort of step up in the lane, but because Hung found that beautiful angle into that brush, he's able to find the play. And also the flash Q rather than the Zenith Blade first meant Cryin had no outplay potential. You have to wait for the Zenith Blade to flash. If Hung doesn't use it first, there's no opportunity to outplay in that situation. So some really nice play, and he'll just be able to head down and give some assistance to iBoy. Did see iBoy's flash actually burn there. We could see this on the replay, so Wei making a play there and will force that summoner from the Kalista.
Nicely done by Wei to at least find something on the bottom side of the map there, but iBoy will be able to shove this wave and get a reset off himself. Make sure he's not falling too far behind in items. Does already have the Vamp Scepter though, so he's going to be sitting pretty in that laning phase for a good old while here. As Cube showing some serious dominance in the top side with a almost 20 CS lead at this early stage. And it's all off the back of these early trades we were talking about. Xiaohu desperate to grab that cannon, desperate to get some CS for himself, but it feels like it's going to be a long while before Xiaohu can effectively trade onto Cube.
Yeah, and it's like he uses his Shroud just to pick up a couple of CS, and that's all he really gets from it.
Is Cryin in trouble here? It's going to be Wei moving in. Cryin, you got to be careful, mate, because Leyan is off on the side as well. Leyan's still level 5. We could have a 2v2. I'm not sure if it's going to break out or if both junglers are going to back away here. Doesn't feel like it's going to happen in the end. Is Cryin going to play up towards his top side? FoFo looks for the 1v1, though. He's been baited in here. Stun comes down. FoFo doesn't have the damage, and Cryin gets flashed on by Leyan. The fear is there. The kill comes through. And RA 2-0.
Really beautiful play from RA, and this is a critical thing. If there's a Twisted Fate mid and you shut it down early, you gank it heavily, you mean he can't ever step up in the lane, then we won't see Cryin able to make that same impact. RNG are bleeding. They're desperate to sort of give some attention to a Xiaohu on the top side, make his lane easier, and it's just not being allowed because of some really proactive play from Leyan, from FoFo, and from Hung in this situation. So a really good start, and it's now put RA at a 2,000 gold lead at the back of this.
Look at iBoy. Look how aggressive he is on this Kalista in the bottom side. Getting lots of stacks down before going for these Rens. It feels like RNG struggling to have an impact in this laning phase, but they're doing okay on CS, and that's what's important. If no kills are going down, it doesn't matter too much about the health bars in the short term. It just matters about whether it's converted into anything, and a Drake could be that conversion. It's up on the map, and Cryin is moving down, but he's only level 5 for now. Hung has found him. He doesn't have flash. Cryin, that's not your river, buddy. I'm not sure what went through his head there.
It's just a beautiful ward, I think, is the main thing between sort of the tower and the river. We'll see where he's just getting spotted out there, so very aware of his position. But yeah, that ward was really nicely placed, allows Leon just to dive on the Twisted Fate. And again, they're targeting the mid laner. They're targeting the person who's trying to find that numbers advantage and just shutting it down. And now they have 4 members leaning into this bot side. RNG has to be really careful, and they're looking to contest these jungle camps.
And I love watching FoFo on picks like the Sylas where he can be aggressive. I didn't want to say it in the last draft because I didn't want to like pigeonhole the guy or anything like that, but I wasn't a fan of the Galio. I feel like you need FoFo to be one of your primary carries. He's one of the best mid laners in the entire league. Let him be the carry. Let the composition work for him. He's stolen Volibear ult right here.
Oh,
They're going to go for a dive. Who cares about the tower? On they go onto Gala, but FoFo, he's been abandoned by the rest of his team at RNG. They'll just pick up an easy kill instead.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice concept with the Volibear ult, but you could see the Destiny from the Twisted Fate kind of shut that down, and maybe a little bit over-aggressive from RA, but either way, I still think the game's going pretty well for them. But that being said, it's been more for play bot.
iBoy, that's 3 stacks. One more auto will get the stun. He has flash and cleanse, but doesn't use them there. Or I think flash was just on cooldown. Turret disabled, but they can't keep the dive going.
Yeah, flash was so close to being up, but honestly, I think he made the right call saving cleanse. I think you're dead there regardless, so just opted to go down. I think maybe a bit disrespectful there. You know that they're going to have strength on the bot side. You just lost FoFo. Probably should have just backed off and looked for the reset instead of trying to push that next wave in. Either way, RNG answering back, and they weren't able to make the proactive plays on the top side. Shut down heavily in the mid lane. Xiaohu really far behind, so they start to go proactive bot. And they have that other win con, which is Gala on this Varus. Has picked up that mana immune already, and you have the protection of the Braum. Really good on top of Cryin with those stun cards. Can just kind of lay a CC on anyone who approaches you. So when it comes to team fights, having a fed Varus does have a lot of strength for this side of RNG.
So let's take a second to talk win conditions for a sec here, because I feel like we earlier assessed what we thought the two teams should be doing, but I feel like we're 9 minutes into the game. We're 5 kills deep as well. Drake has been available for 4 minutes and neither team going for that. Let's reassess who should be being aggressive right now. Who should be setting the pace of this game?
I think for me, RA should be setting the pace of the game, right? You have a really strong bot lane. Cryin is kind of just cut out the game at this point on this Twisted Fate, and anytime he roams, you can just match it with the Paranoia. You can pick him off with the Paranoia, and that's what they should do. Just establish vision around mid. Anytime he moves, take him off before he gets to the play, and FoFo can obviously steal that Destiny and answer. So I think RA really should be setting the pace, and any advantages we see from RNG will mostly be them shutting down RA's plays or just finding these great opportunities to look for it. But I feel like they have to be so careful because mid lane is in a rough spot, top lane is in a rough spot. Nocturne's past that level 6 point where he becomes a lot more valuable. It's only really bot that's going well, and even then, it's not like they can kind of all in iBoy and hang because the Kalista is so strong right now.
Herald comes down in the mid lane here, Dan, as RA will be able to get at least 2 plates for themselves, but here comes Cryin. The play is answered by RNG, but not in a big way. Just a couple of plates taken. Deny the Herald, deny, or at least deny the tower going down, and Cryin will be able to finish this wave off. I thought that was going to be more. I thought they were going to chase the kills there.
Yeah, I think they're still a little bit concerned about just the strength of RA's mid-jungle. Especially Leyan when he has that Paranoia. They do bin his flash, they do bin his ult, so I'm not going to complain too much about that one, but essentially it was just RA overstepping to try and take a bit more of the tower than really they can. And we are starting to see that Xiaohu's a lot more comfortable in this matchup. And that's actually significantly caught up in terms of CS, despite how bad the early levels were.
All in on the bottom side here from RNG. Both junglers here, but Cryin is arriving as well. The stun's coming through as Gala will finish the first kill. In fact, it's Ming to do it. Double TP for RA, but it's too late. The TP's come through after the fight is lost. RA get nothing. Maybe they can grab a Drake off of this, but I mean, it's still 4v4.
Yeah, and I just think the ult from iBoy and him going back in just a little bit questionable there. Definitely think the right call would have been to disengage. I mean, I guess maybe they wanted to commit to the play because they had the double TP coming in, but this is just giving, pressure.
Oh no, Leyan, the stun chain comes through. Leyan has fallen. Cryin gets the kill. RA, they lose 2 players in this exchange. In the meantime, Xiaohu is just pushing top by himself, completely uncontested. And RA don't even get the Drake. There is literally no benefit to the last kind of 2 minutes of gameplay for RA.
Yeah, they are kind of that big lead we sort of saw them find that we were kind of talking about. Out the window now, honestly. Xiaohu, he had a rough early laning phase, but he's caught up massively at that level 9 point when he Q's Mac and just contest the wave. And here, I mean, you lost a member, right? You lost a member on the map. And still Leon's like, I'm going to go for this dragon. Not the best play, let's be honest. Not the ideal scenario to look for. He will be punished once again. He still has a pretty significant lead over Wei, but you can see Cryan's caught up pretty significantly, being able to pick up some kill and some assists on the back of the most recent plays. Gala is ahead in the AD carry matchup. And again, look at the top lane. Xiaohu is up in gold after that disastrous early start to the laning phase, and it just feels like RA had all the tools, everything was set up right, and they fumbled it.
Yep, feels like the advantages are running out, and iBoy is well aware of that. Uses the cleanse, uses the flash, gets onto a blast cone, and keeps himself safe. But I tell you what, Cryan's ultimate is a much shorter cooldown than the flash cleanse combo.
Absolutely, burn both those summoners, and it means that iBoy's in no position to contest this Drake, and again, it just means you can repeat that play as much as you want. And this is RNG taking control once more of the game. They have super good setups for these picks. They have the TF that could fly in, they have the Chains of Corruption, the Braum passive, all good at locking down. And it just feels like this was the main goal for RA. Shut down the TF, don't allow Cryin to do anything, and then off the back of that, the game feels a lot easier. But he's been able to find himself a route back into this game, and now he's starting to take over again, starting to be able to apply that pressure and make things difficult for these side laners. I'm looking for something there, but... Oh,
didn't find it. Even if he was looking, he could not find it. Yeah. RNG gonna throw some ults as well. Both supports just kind of whiffing on that one. Although the slow landed at least from Hong. Still kind of a whiff, yeah. Leyan moving up to the top side here. Xiaohu could be in trouble. Remember, does not have flash. Chose not to run that this game, but Leyan decides that's not the play for now. And Xiaohu will walk away with a base.
It's pretty hard to punish the Akali with the Shroud at this point. Both of them being auto attackers, can kind of just chill on the Shroud and play around that. And they can't really do too much to you. But yeah, I mean, it just feels like RA, they got those good initial plays, and then after that, not really much has come. It's kind of just been RNG shutting down everything and slowing the pace of the game down to a point that really suits them. And you know, I think RNG are more comfortable just leaning into the later stages of this game. They have the Varus Braum, they have the TF, the team fight's pretty solid. You've got that dragon in pocket. It is still a while away from the next one, and that's the thing you were talking about, is it was a very slow approach to the dragons in this game. Neither team prioritizing them too quickly, and as a result, we will have Soul being pretty late if it does come up this game. So it's not really too much of a threat in terms of that, but I think RA are kind of in a position now where they feel like they're not really sure what to do. You've definitely seen a lot of moments where they've kind of just been caught out. They've kind of been a bit unsure. I think they want to find a pick onto players like Cryin. Use the power of that paranoia. But the problem is, with the current lane state, it's a little bit tricky to do so. There's still those tier 1 towers up. It means players like this need a dive. But they're looking for one.
Cryan's locked up here. FoFo has the damage to finish this kill off. Nicely done here by RA. As Hung happy to tank the tower up for FoFo. I remember FoFo also stole away the Twisted Fate ult. So not only is it a kill, it's an opportunity to make more plays. But Xiaohu answers with the tower on the top side of the map. Looks like Xiaohu should finish the first tower of the game before FoFo here. But RNG will get themselves a Herald as well. As the first tower went the way of Xiaohu, second tower goes the way of FoFo.
And even though it's a good play for RA to take, it's still winning for RNG. They get the first tower, so that extra bit of gold. They get Herald as well off the back of it. So overall, I'd say they can be pretty happy with the outcome, despite the fact that RA found that good window. And it's still the right call for RA. Punish the TF, right? We've seen how often when they look for plays on anyone else, the TF can just turn up, cause problems. If you target Cryin, it's the easiest solution to the problem. And now that we do have this longer lane bot, we have this longer lane top, there's a lot more opportunity and a lot less safe places to farm, because I know that obviously Cryin did die under tower. Typically, it does make things a little bit easier when you have a tower close by. And we do see RNG applying pressure on the bot side, looking to go for this tier 1 tower, and RA kind of leaning more towards top.
And we talked about FoFo stealing away the Twisted Fatal. iBoy, oh, that was a little dicey, mate. That was a little dicey. Use the cleanse. He's going to be fine. We talked about FoFo stealing the ult. He used it, gained 4 CS for himself. Massive play coming out from FoFo.
Game changer.
Yeah. Does have 3 kills for himself. FoFo's having a really fantastic game on the Sylas. We knew he would, though. We know that FoFo is a great Sylas player. We know that this guy can carry games. Has 3 stacks on his Dark Seal as well. As here we go, Leyan diving into the mid lane onto Gala here. The flash away, cleanse used as well, and it's Leyan to go down. And it feels like everything RA do is just short of working out for them. There's another couple of kills for RNG.
And there's just no follow-up there for Leyan. There's no one who can sort of keep up with him, and the Varus has both summoners, so it was a pretty tricky play to make overall. Even if it had been successful, you're still definitely dying in that situation. And iBoy, this Kalista pick just hasn't really come to fruition, right? We had the strong early laning phase, and since then it kind of feels like he's been using his summoners off cooldown, spamming them with a replay. And it's like, you know, he flies in. The flash makes sense. He's trying to make sure that if the flash comes out for the Varus, he's able to still land the fear. But then Gala just cleanse flashes away, able to create distance. And iBoy, I mean, he's just been using his summoners constantly. I feel like, you know, for a good 90% of this game, they haven't been available.
Yeah, iBoy having a tough time here on the Kalista, and it feels like RA changing tactics, trying to be more aggressive, right, but still not able to get these plays to work out. FoFo needs to be the carry, and he wasn't really able to impact that fight in a big way. 6-4 here. RA do have the gold lead. It's important to mention that they are actually up in gold. It just doesn't feel like it in the game right now. But hey, at least they'll get themselves a Drake.
And you know what? Here's the thing to think about that last play, right? That play wasn't really going to work, right? We can both agree on that, yeah? But it did achieve something. It took out Gala's summoners. And now, Paranoia is back available for that dragon. RNG don't contest it. I think maybe that was the value of the play in and of itself. It wasn't necessarily going to be successful in terms of kills, but it was successful in terms of making sure the next fight for RNG would be a little bit more tenuous, because that Varus is a significant portion of their gold, and putting him in a comfortable spot means that you can just kind of like force the next objective. And you know, Varus has no flash, Varus has no cleanse. If Nocturne dies on him, almost certainly ends up going down. So from that sense, maybe that was the attempt from RA, maybe that was the play, and if it was, then it was successful because it got them that dragon.
That's very true. RA did get themselves the Drake, and as we said, they have a very minor gold lead, and it is exactly that, very minor. It's about 500 as of right now. As iBoy clearing up this mid wave, you can see Leyan farming up a storm in the jungle. Does have himself a small CS lead to work with. And we'll see if he's able to have more of an impact here on this Nocturne. It feels like the rest of the comp has more ability to follow up. If FoFo, Leyan, and Cube can all jump in onto the same target, you see a solar flare come down from Hung. Like, when you look at this composition, you can picture it, right? You can absolutely maul someone if you can all get onto the same target, and let's see if they can. In goes Leyan, and out goes Leyan. Now the rest of the fight from RNG as the Chain of Corruption comes in. Fate's called to pull the support out to safety. Xiaohu dashes back out, a bit more damage as the perfect execution is exactly that. See you later. Goodbye, turret. Goodbye, iBoy. FoFo left to wonder what went wrong for RA. He'll be able to find one potentially onto Xiaohu. It's a consolation prize, though, as the game is falling apart around his ears. It's a beautiful snipe from Gala, and it's a beautiful fight from RNG.
And you know what? I think I gave RA too much credit on their first play being purely to burn summoners, because that one was ambitious, is all I'm going to say. Leyan just flies in. There's 4 people around the Varus. He has cleanse up again. Cryin flies in instantly. Yeah, I'm not sure that was going to work. It kind of a bit of a desperation play, and RNG are there to respond, and their comp is just flawlessly working here. You see the target selection once again so good. They apply the Braum passive, they throw the stun cards down, they take down a target at a time. It gets a little bit messy here when the tower starts to re-aggro and they're kind of caught between two, but even so, they're still able to find. And this beautiful snipe here from Gala predicts the dash and is able to take him out.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. FoFo versus the world. That's what we're seeing before our eyes here, boys and girls. It's a 2,000 gold lead right now in favor of RNG, and it feels like FoFo is just wondering what is going on in this game. He was so far ahead. He had so much power, and then he just presses tab and he sees his 0-5 bot lane, his 1-3 jungler, and he knows that this one might be doomed. We're going to be forced to use his ult here in the mid lane just to keep himself safe, but nothing too much should come from that one. Should be available again by the time the Drake is coming up in a minute and a half.
RNG swarming in.
CPs. Here we go. RNG trying to make a play, even without Wei's ultimate. They want action to happen. They're not going to be able to find anything. I think that one was a little ambitious, to be honest. Look where FoFo is right now, though. He's pressuring a tier 2.
Yeah, he is, and able to put some damage. You see assist pings coming out here. Someone does need to respond to him, so he'll just back away. But, you know, they did get iBoy's flash there. He is cleanseless, but that should be up in time for that dragon. But without the flash, does potentially put him in a vulnerable spot. FoFo will just TP out to keep himself safe. And
I think
again,
he could have got away with a recall there, honestly. I'm not sure that they were as committed to killing him as he felt like they were.
I think it's one of those situations where he doesn't know, right? He's like we have the information, but if you look on that top side, there just wasn't the vision. For all he knew, they could have been swarming him. And You know, it kind of sucks that he loses the TP for, as we can see, nothing, but I think he had to play it safe, because if he dies there, especially when he is the sole carrier feels for RA at the moment, it's definitely in a rough spot.
Oh, Hong's been caught out here. The stun's coming on through. Hong on about 1 HP here, and Wei finishes him off. Now the rest of the fight is a knock-up onto Cube as well. And RNG just chasing them down, slaughtering them one by one as Xiaohu grabs the double kill for himself. FoFo into the backline with his own perfect execution. Takes out Gala, but all it is a consolation prize because RNG take yet another fight.
And FoFo trying his best, does find that kill onto Gala, which honestly might have actually been enough to stop the Baron. It is a lethality Varus, so less DPS than the typical sort of attack speed one, but even so, got a shutdown, got some value, but RNG are just crushing these fights. It just doesn't even feel close. It's like you have that final moment where the Sylas is doing something, but the rest of the fight is just a pure stomp. But we can see how this one sort of pans out. Again, this is the power, that pick potential, that CC layering. Blue Smite comes down, chains of corruptions into the Braum stun. Hung just can't do anything, and then we see Ming going really aggressive here, finds the ult to knock up the Viego, and it's once more, you pick a target, you apply the Braum passive, you move forwards, and it's just easy execution from there.
I mean, RNG, they're a beautiful team to watch. It feels like every game you just get to see this masterclass from them. FoFo doing his damnedest again, but not enough on that one. Now with 2 Drakes in their pockets, RNG looking amazing, and we just got to take a second to talk about Wei in this game. He has almost 100% kill participation. He's been a part of 14 of the 15 kills so far. This man is everywhere on the map, but RA, it's their turn to make something sneaky happen here. RNG, it feels like knows something's up here. Xiaohu moves in, has his Shroud to buy space. That was very clean from RNG, and now the stun's onto Hung. It's going to be Fate's call, pull him to safety. FoFo the target, but the stun comes in. You can't afford for FoFo to die at the start of the fight, RA. It feels like it's already over. Cube chased down. It's a double kill for Ming, and a deserved one. How often do you get to have a double as a support? iBoy in trouble here, and it's way to finish that one off. And guess what? Baron is on the cards.
It's just a disaster. You can see RA again a little bit desperate at this point. They try and go for the death brush, but Xiaohu is an Akali, just pops the Shroud. No chance of that actually going down. And then it just feels like every single time RA try anything, you just see the whole of RNG be there, and then Cryin just Destiny's in and turns up. And it's like the squad's arrived, and they just dominate them in the team fights at this point. It's 6 kills to 18. The Baron's now going to get picked up. It's going to put them at just a massive goal lead in this game. We can see the replay. Xiaohu's not a target. Not an easy one to take down. Still has the Zhonya's as well. We have the whole of RNG there. Cryin flies in. And then once more, it's just you apply the Braum passive, throw a stun card, someone dies. Move to the next target. It's so easy to play.
Yeah, it's really beautiful to watch RNG in these fights, just taking people down one by one. And it does feel like RA kind of out of sorts at this point, and especially if FoFo is caught in the fight. If FoFo is one of the first people to go down, it doesn't feel like there's much left for the side of RA to do. Now into the mid lane go RNG. They've got Baron. They've got everything they could ever want. And they might just have themselves a 2-0. That's what it's feeling like, Aux, but it's not quite over just yet. Aux, I'm gonna ask you to do something that I think is near impossible at this point. Whisper me sweet nothings on behalf of RA. What on earth can happen for them to win the game at this point? How do they keep this series alive?
They need someone from RNG to be in the wrong position and to die. That is the win con, essentially. I don't really see another way around it than that.
Oh, triple knock-up, triple solar flare. Maybe this is it. Gala goes down, but they've run out of damage, haven't they? Perfect execution through everyone.
Nice.
I got excited for a second as iBoy desperately tried to kite them out, but he goes down. And it's going to be a full ace in trade of 1 kill, a TP to the mid lane from Cryin. Maybe not quite necessary, but you know what? This has been almost as active as the LPL schedule because it is 23-7 right here in favor of RNG as they look to close this one out. Aux, RNG are done with this series. They are done with RA as they take themselves a 2-0 victory and continue their climb towards playoffs glory as they have finished half of the LPL in a win streak.
They just absolutely slammed them. And in that last fight, you know, you could see RA, they tried everything. They gave you a little bit of hope there, Joe, but it didn't last for very long. They just were so far behind. And again, weren't able to find the sort of execution on the backline for RNG. And RNG looking dominant. They have a strategy in every game, which is, you know, try and lean to the side lanes, try and find those numbers advantages. And it just works so well. It's doing so much work. And again, as you said, 8 win streak now, over half of the league. No one yet able to stand up to them now that they've hit their stride.